Hey everybody, Steven here, and today doing a breakdown and kind of just deep dive into the latest gameplay reveal trailer for Subnautica 2. Doing this different in terms of how I'm actually recording the video. So I have a ultra wide monitor, so this is going to look a little bit different when I'm actually like stopping and pausing and things like that here, just because it's doing that super ultra wide aspect ratio, the 21:9 with this, so it looks just a little bit different. And I'm just recording this with a screen grab instead of just meticulously going through recording, redoing the audio. So I'm going to mess up a lot on this in terms of just what I'm saying, stumbling on my words and all of that, but I can get this out quicker by doing it this way. Now, I'm not going to play the whole thing straight through and then go back and touch on everything that I want to. Here we're just gonna do it from the start. So if you haven't watched this, I will have a link in the description so you can watch the full thing uninterrupted. It is a really good trailer. Shout out to Ben Prunty, if I'm pronouncing his last name correct. He's the guy that did the music for Below Zero. Like, the song in this is so good. I keep re-listening to it. Sounds really awesome. So excited that he's going to be doing the music again. Let's start here. So this is obviously just the opening image that we get. I believe this is whatever crashed ship that we see towards the end of the trailer. We're seeing it at the beginning here. So we have the, I'm assuming that says biolock, and then we have the sampling pavilion here. So you're going to, kind of like in the first game, actually go through a crashed ship. We kind of did that on the second one, or well, it's not even the second game, Below Zero, but with that it was completely submerged. This one is submerged, but it looks like we actually get to walk around while it still has some air. It's not completely just all water, much like the first game, if I'm correct. That's the other thing. I may not be correct. There's just a lot of speculation that I'm doing with this, but boom. So Altera, that's right, Altera Cicada. So we have whatever this platform is that showcases this. I'm assuming this is something that we will be interacting with, and that's why it's actually popping up right now with this hologram. But I'm really curious about the sampling pavilion. One of the things that it talks about with the about this game section of the Steam listing here, it says that you need to adapt in unexpected and curious ways. And here it says, unless you change what it means to be human. So this is just in regards to the way that you need to survive on the planet. So what creatures, intelligent or otherwise, await your arrival. So a lot of tidbits in this. I'm going to come back to this here in a little bit, but just with those handful of out of sequence sentences from that, one of the things that a lot of people are speculating is, are we going to get something that was supposed to be in the first game, which was a lot of that bio sampling was intended to be used so that you would essentially like do some genetic testing on yourself and literally alter yourself. And I think we're going to see that with this game, and hopefully this is a little bit of a teaser into that. Let's continue. Still on the same ship. Now it looks like you're being sucked out, right? Boom. And so let's see if I can stop it right exactly where it does that. Very reminiscent of first game when you're jumping into the drop pod there, but now this is you're submerged. Something's pulling you out, and it could be potentially a creature or the current stuff that we're going to be dealing with in the game. But you can see this looks like some type of pod here. So, and I'm going to rewind this part a couple times. So you will sleep through 14 years. 14 years of flight to your new home on Zazura. And so here you're a pioneer. So let's talk about the listing. It says new world, new adventure. A new world awaits alongside in an all new story. You are a pioneer traveling to a distant world, but something is amiss. The ship's AI insists you carry on the mission. This world is too dangerous for humans to survive unless you change what it means to be human, the thing I mentioned earlier. What creatures, intelligent or otherwise, await your arrival. I think we're getting a misdirect. So here you're going to sleep for 14 years on your flight to your new home on Zazura. I don't think we make it. So I think like this may be similar to the first game. I think we may be crash landing on a different planet with this. And that's our ship that we're seeing at the beginning. Again, very reminiscent of the first game. I just don't know what's causing us to crash, if that is. Again, this is all just speculation. So let's go back just a little bit.
Sleep through 14 years of flight to your new home on Zazura.
Zizura. There you go. New tool. We can see that right there. So whatever hammer, looks like a hammer knife, but like a blunt object to actually crack the quartz or the crystals or the rocks or whatever we're going to be cracking open. Very similar, I'm assuming, to the first game with this, with quartz and rocks and things like that. But we have this new tool in order to do that. But it also has a button on it, so I'm wondering kind of maybe it's multifunctional with this, but cool to see that right there. And the game, of course, just looking really, really good on Zizra. And now we have the, why am I forgetting the name of the new vehicle here? But we have the new vehicle here, but we've only seen it, is it the tadpole, right? We've only seen it without anything on it. So now we have our first glimpse into... I'm assuming, I mean, this looks like a stingray, but with this, the multiple options that we may have to make this almost like a multi like tool in a sense, where we can take this thing, and they've hinted at this with some of the artwork that they've released, where, yeah, we may not have like kind of like the mech suit, but this thing could have attachments that essentially make it like that. So here this looks like a stingray, where whatever function that may serve for this increased speed, whatever it may be, you could have that option. So it's just this one centerpiece and then make it into whatever variation you want. I like that. And this is our first teaser at that in terms of gameplay, not just conceptual art. This is obviously not, looks like a moon base, but it's not functioning because it's completely underwater. Obviously the game is multiplayer. We have another character over here, so we have that. We have the flashlight. This just has a bunch of like barnacles all over it. So this has been submerged for a while. We have our storage over here. Noticing some coloring variations with the suit. This will allow you to identify the other people that you're playing with, which is awesome. Get a better look there. So yeah, completely submerged here, but this thing looks awesome. And I'm assuming there's a lot that I am missing, by the way. So if there's stuff that I'm missing, definitely let me know in the comment section. This part to me is a little weird because we're going to get a glimpse of this Saturn type planet, and it looks really awesome. But this looks like it's part of the intro. You're opening this up to space? I don't know. This part's a little confusing. Boom. So you open this door into space, or is this you're opening it and it's nighttime? This may be nighttime now that I'm thinking about it. Because initially I was like, dude, this looks like you're literally in space. But this, yeah, this may be nighttime, lights out. You just don't have any light around you. Let's watch that one more time. I guess you have it right behind you, but then it opens up into blackness. Yeah. But this is really, really awesome. So you have really cool looking planet, and then you have the Aurora Borealis at the top there.
Encourage you to nurture your
And then it
dreams.
switches over to
Close your eyes.
daytime.
Take a deep breath.
Boom. Now, whatever this creature is, it looks really, really cool. Here we have Alex Reese back for the creature design. And he's doing some of the lore as well this go around, which is awesome. He did a tweet about that. But I love whatever this thing is. It definitely has his style all over it. It just looks really cool, but I'm assuming it can go underwater as well, obviously. But the way it's just like walking across the water is really bizarre, and I'm all for it. And then we have the sun here, we have this planet, but then that ring. And so the first game, it was awesome in terms of like the visual. You got to see the other planet and all that, but this one having that massive ring around it just adds a cooler effect, I think, with this.
When you wake up,
Another thing I noticed here, all of the bubbles, they actually, well, I'm assuming maybe not all of them, but most of them seem to have a property where they are reflective. Like, look at that right up there at the top. Like these, like a mirror, like an actual bubble would, are reflecting back what it sees around it. And I think that's just the power of the Unreal Engine 5 here and the team being able to take advantage of that.
new life begins.
So now we have our scanner. I love the display. We've seen images of this stuff before, but just a good look at the biome, our creatures here, just the overall visual quality, fidelity, just looks so good. And it's only going to get better. Here's the thing, it's not even in early access yet, so I can only imagine what this looks like as we get really close to release. We're going to scan this creature. This creature's so bizarre. So it's two creatures that are making it look like one, and then you'll see them kind of split for a second. But again, kudos to Alex and just the crazy designs that he comes up with. That's so cool. And now this creature here, this is the one we've seen images of it, but we've also seen some of the devs showcase just the behavior that they're trying to put in terms of animation and all of that into the game. So right now, I mean, it's just, again, Alex Reese, creature design, super bizarre, but we're going to see this thing fight. It's like a ram that's underwater. Here it is. Boom. That's so cool. I'll watch that one more time. Boom. And then you see just that effect that it has right there. So now that we're getting just all the cool stuff that you can do with Unreal Engine 5, I'm excited to see all the different lighting effects and visual effects that they can add to the game that they couldn't do with Below Zero and they couldn't do with the first game. But right there, boom. And now we're going to get into base building. This is where I was talking earlier about, it seems like these are color coordinated in a sense that you get to choose your color, you stick with that, so now people can identify your character if you're doing the 4-person or any of the co-op modes here, right? Because you can do up to 4, but you can do 1, 2, or 3 people that you're playing with. But here we have green, orange, blue, and red. And I really like the suits here. But now we're getting into the base building. So they're square, they're not round. Somebody's like, I don't know if I like that. I'm assuming you're still going to get the option to have round versions. Here you're going to get a half round one from right there. So I'm assuming you could probably piece two of these together, but that still wouldn't be quite a circle. But I'm assuming you're going to get a circle version, that you don't have to stick with the square ones here. But we're seeing the solar panels here. It looks like we have right there, and there'll be another image here in a little bit where you have it looks like the transmitters for this. I'm curious as to what these on top are doing, because you'll have another one pop up. So right there. So here's the full thing. So we have the two entries here, and then you're going to see them go inside here in a second, but everybody's building, which is awesome. And then this is different because it's not like the normal entries that you had in the first and second game where you had to open the hatch door. Like, this is just you float through it, which seems a lot easier with this. But that looks really cool. But I'm wondering if that's like a specialty one too, where you'll still have the hatch ones, but you also have these specialty ones. Putting in the light, of course, we have posters, we have locker. Here, also looking at the different looks of the characters. I don't know if you're going to have full creative control over your character model. I'm hoping that'd be really cool. Or if it's like, hey, you get to choose from some of these presets and that's all you're going to get. But I am digging the suit too. So we have that. We have the locker. Don't know that it showed. There we go. So then we have our building tools. They do look, at least right here, a little bit different. I'm assuming they'll be pretty similar, but maybe a subtle change in the overall design. We have our lockers. And then here we have shelves, stuff that you can put on the shelves. Not quite sure what these are, or if they're just placeholders, and maybe they'll look a little bit different as we get towards the final release of the game. And then, of course, we have just our builder there. So whatever you want to make, now it's going to make, I'm forgetting the name of these, but they're just the hand version of the Sea Glide here. And so that looks really cool. Animations when you're using this stuff is awesome. Got the character outside. We have a desk, we have a stool. I'm assuming a storage box, maybe wall, locker variation. And then you can see the character in the background that was using them, and then this character is using them as well. This tool, I want to know what this thing is, because it's using, like, would that be like it's like a percussion gun? Like it's using, it's hard to describe, like charges up and then it shoots like almost like a sound wave or like energy at that thing and destroys it. So in this instance, I'm assuming you have to use this in order to get certain things in the environment if you need certain resources, but also we're going to see them use this on a creature so you can use it to protect yourself. Boom. Right there. Which was really cool. Let's watch that again. It does charge up. Boom. And so it's not going to kill the creature, it's just going to move it away and hopefully send it on its way because it's going to be scared and it won't keep attacking you. And then they only show it for just a brief second. So we've seen a still image of this, but here we have the flare, whatever underground abandoned base here, but then this creature is really gnarly looking. But again, this is just first bit of gameplay. You only see it for a second though. There it goes. And then now whatever we have going on under here, so now gonna have that U-shaped base part, and then this looks like some type of computer. It does pop up for a second. We have some type of table lamp, a curved desk. We have two over there. I'm assuming, or maybe those are seats. They could be seats or a desk. We have something in the background. And you can see the computer's looking at it. It's also making a noise. And then just a look at some of the different plants and things that we have as well. Desk back there. Looks like a corner shelf. This part is really cool as well. So now you can actually hold on to the tadpole or whatever the vehicle is called and actually just catch a ride. But we have one character that doesn't have an oxygen tank and one that does. Matter of fact, they don't even have a helmet on. That's interesting. Not seeing any difference in the suit though, so I don't know what's going on there. And then this is the same base that they were building earlier, and it was by, and it looks like we have kind of certain things that are the same, abandoned bases, things like that, and then abandoned platforms where whoever was here before was doing research, and so you'll find these things and you'll be able to collect PDAs and I'm assuming different modules and things like that that you can use then to build different items. And then that, and I'm wondering, do we get first and third person? Because here we're in first person. That looks awesome. Still Altera, obviously. We talked about that at the beginning of the video, but seeing it on all the different items still there. But yeah, going from third. So I'm assuming, yeah, we have third person with this, or first person. And then this person, or suit thing, whatever's going on here, like a diving suit, but that looks really old. So maybe this isn't our ship. Maybe it's a ship that crash landed here. They didn't have access to stuff, so they tried to figure out a way that they could essentially make their own diving suit, which is pretty plausible as well. But it also, there's a bunch of air coming through that too, so another character you discover, because that obviously doesn't look like any diving suit that we use. That's being fed a line. Super interesting. This part here, and this is like going back to the first game and how scary the world was, and when you saw certain leviathans, this is giving that vibe still, right? The Reaper is still like one of the scariest creatures in the series here, but this again kind of gives more of that vibe than we had with Below Zero. So we have the ship completely destroyed here. It's split in half, and boom. That thing looks so menacing. We have the tentacles here, glowing eyes. So I'm wondering if we get like a misdirect with this potentially. I don't know though. This seems more just like gameplay, but I know the misdirect with the trailer, I can't remember which one with the first game, it made the Sea Emperor, the queen, seem like a bad guy, but she was a good guy. So I don't know if we have something like that going on here, because this thing looks, in terms of scale, very similar to that, but it looks very menacing, very scary. And the glow and the charge that it can do here. And then of course we have that. So I don't know that we would have this animation if it wasn't evil. Maybe not though. Maybe still a misdirect. And then it just cuts and it talks about the early access releasing in 2026. I want to cut back to the beginning really quick. The PDA sounds very similar to the first game, and they are using a voice actor or actress this time for that. So I do want to listen to that one more time.
You will sleep through 14 years of flight to your new home on Caesarea. We encourage you to nurture your dreams. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. When you wake up, your new life begins.
So again, sounds very similar to the PDA from the first game, and we do have a voice actress doing this. I think it sounds really, really good. We have Ben's music to this. Everything is looking so amazing. So I do think I'm wrong now, though. I don't think this is from space. I just think this is, you're on the planet opening it up. And maybe it's early on, but obviously I am going to hold firm to, I think we're crash landing on this planet for whatever reason. Very similar and reminiscent of the first game, because we were heading to a different planet. It was going to take us 14 years to get there. This is the first time we're seeing the name of that planet too, the Zizera. So I don't know, getting a feeling that something's off, and just based off the description that we have on the listing for the game on Steam.
We encourage you to nurture your dreams. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. When you wake up, your new life begins.
So we'll see, but that's going to be it for this one. Let me know what you guys think of everything in the trailer. There's a lot to unpackage here, And there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm even missing with this too. But a lot of cool stuff in terms of just stills that we could pull from this. From the multiplayer to the base building. And this is still not even released in early access. So I think we're going to get a lot more in that first initial release of early access than we did for the first Subnautica or Below Zero. I'm going to make a separate video talking about that because I know everybody's seen everything in regards to development, and when we're talking about the founders being let go by Krafton and EA being pushed back into 2026, there's some screenshots with that in terms of there just not being enough there, because that's one of the reasons why they're saying they want to push this back to 2026 is because there's just not enough content in the beginning here. So it seems like there's a lot from this trailer though, but I'm not on the inside seeing everything listed out. So with them pushing it further back, I think the adjustments that they're going to be making, the feedback that they've gotten from the early playtests, being able now to polish things, put more content into early access, I think we're going to get a really good launch of this with a lot more content, because Below Zero was really bare bones. I remember that when it launched into early access. I don't think we're going to have that same thing here. I think we're going to have a decent chunk to play around with, more so than the last two games. But yeah, this is looking really good, and it's only going to get better from here if we are looking at hopefully not longer than 7 or 8 months until we see early access. Fingers crossed, but we'll see. Hopefully we do get a more concrete date towards the end of this year as well on when that release is going to be. But from what I'm seeing so far, it just has me really excited about where the game is going. And although they have all the stuff going on right now with, again, the founders and Krafton and all of that, they've put out a post. The bulk of the actual development team, as far as I know, all of them are working on this game still. Nobody there has left, been fired, or anything like that from what I've seen. So the people that have been making the game are going to continue to do so. And I'll have a video with more details on that here pretty soon, but I know it's a bummer. People were wanting early access to launch this year, and people were hoping for this fall, kind of towards tail end of the year, maybe at the latest, but it's all going to be for the better of the game. So with this being kind of in the state that it is already, again, I'm really excited to see what they can add to this in the coming months and what we're going to see for that initial early access release, how the game's going to look, but how much content they're going to be able to put into it this time compared to the previous games. So that's going to be it for this one. Speculate for me, like the stuff that I talked about in here, your own theories, things like that. What do you think we're going to see with the game in terms of the story, things that are going to be added? What do you like so far? What don't you like with this? What are you excited about for early access? And what are you thinking in terms of a timeline for that? When do you think it's going to release? Let me know in the comment section. That is going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the video, hit the like button for me as it helps the channel out. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.